Have you struggled to find a go-to chocolate royal icing recipe? That may be because even though chocolate obviously makes everything better, it can also mess with the stability of royal icing, altering the consistency and making it really difficult to work with. It's a dicey thing to take responsibility for. Luckily, this recipe always does the trick for me. But first, a disclaimer. This recipe produces a nice light chocolate flavor and color. Since I use it for decorating, I want to ensure that I can work with it easily and that it'll dry properly and quickly. So I prefer to go a little lighter on the cocoa powder. But if you watch until the end, I'll share an easy trick that'll produce deeper flavor and color with basically zero extra effort. This recipe only requires 5 ingredients: powdered sugar, cocoa powder, meringue powder, vanilla, I highly recommend vanilla bean paste, and water. First, I'm going to mix together 2.5 cups of powdered sugar and 3 tablespoons of good quality cocoa powder, whisking until they're uniformly combined. Combining these ingredients first helps evenly distribute the cocoa powder and will also help us avoid overmixing the icing in the end, which can also ruin its stability. Before moving on to the next step, an important note: be sure to use warm water for this recipe. Not hot, just slightly warm to the touch. Usually just 10 to 13 seconds in the microwave works for me. Back to business. In a second large bowl or the bowl of a stand mixer, combine 3 tablespoons of meringue powder and 5 tablespoons of the warm water. Whisk the meringue powder and water together until the powder is fully dissolved and the mixture is frothy. Then add the powdered sugar and cocoa powder mixture. I always give it a good stir first with a spatula to avoid making a huge mess. Then mix on high for about 2 to 3 minutes. If you're new to royal icing, it doesn't hurt to set a timer for this step. When using a stand mixer, be sure to use the paddle attachment. As you mix, the texture will become fluffier, lighter in color, and eventually hold a stiff peak. Then add half a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste or vanilla extract and mix again until just combined. And here's the finished product. It has a light chocolate color and light cocoa flavor, but I've found that adding more cocoa powder can really affect workability and dry time. There's an easy trick for developing deeper chocolate flavor and color though. Simply make the icing ahead of time. That's it. Allow the icing to sit in an airtight container for a few hours or overnight. Room temperature is fine, and the chocolatiness will develop further. Here's what mine looks like after sitting overnight. It's helpful to note that cocoa powder absorbs moisture, so the icing will thicken over time. I thin mine to my desired consistency using a misting spray bottle to add water just a little bit at a time and then mix by hand to avoid overmixing. Keep in mind that the exact amount of water needed will depend on your environment and specific decorating needs. I hope this recipe does the trick for you. Click or tap to learn my easy go-to vanilla royal icing recipe. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing.